You ever feel like the moment you take your eyes off XRP for a few days, something absolutely seismic drops? Well, buckle in, because that's exactly what just happened. This isn't rumor. This isn't speculation. This is confirmation, and it's coming straight from the top. David Schwartz, the literal architect of the XRP Ledger, the man whose fingerprints are on the code that's now moving billions across borders, just made a move that sent shockwaves through the entire crypto community. And if you've been following this story for a while, you already know. When David moves, it's never random. It's strategic. It's timed. It's a signal. But this time, it's something much bigger. Because what just came out could redefine XRP's future trajectory, and maybe the future of institutional crypto altogether. Before we dive in, quick note. This video is not financial advice. It's for educational and informational purposes only. Always do your own research and never invest money you can't afford to lose. And as of this recording, XRP is trading around $2.37. But by the time you finish this video, you might see that number in a whole new light. So if you hold XRP, if you've been watching from the sidelines, or if you've ever wondered when the real adoption phase would finally begin, stop what you're doing, hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's break down what just happened, why it matters, and how it could shape the next era of finance. Because yes, it's that big. Here's the news. David Schwartz just officially joined a brand new entity called Evernorth as a strategic advisor. And this is not some random crypto startup trying to make noise. Evernorth is being built as a regulated institutional investment vehicle, designed from the ground up to expand XRP's footprint inside DeFi, liquidity management, and capital markets. In plain English, this is XRP's bridge into Wall Street. And here's the kicker. The company is led by Ashish Birla, one of Ripple's original power players who helped scale RippleNet into the global network it is today. Now, both Birla and Schwartz have stepped into this new chapter together, and when you look closer at the timing and structure, it's clear this was planned. This is not Ripple version 2. This is Ripple unshackled. Evernorth is being positioned as the liquidity engine, the financial core that will sit on top of Ripple's payment rails. Ripple built the infrastructure. Evernorth is about to run the capital through it. And the story gets even more interesting when you connect it to Ripple's billion-dollar XRP acquisition fund that made headlines a few weeks ago. At the time, everyone was confused. Why would Ripple, a company that already owns billions of XRP, raise money to buy more XRP? It didn't make sense until now. Because the dots connect perfectly. That XRP is being strategically deployed into Evernorth. Not locked inside Ripple's books, not sitting in cold storage, but put to work in a new, transparent, publicly traded structure designed to generate yield, liquidity, and institutional access. That changes everything. Think about what that means for perception. For years, Ripple has had to balance regulation, lawsuits, and partnerships with banks. They've always been the infrastructure company, so the back-end operator. But Evernorth doesn't have those restrictions. Its purpose is simple. Acquire XRP and use it to build yield-generating financial products. This is XRP being industrialized, not speculated on, utilized. And here's where it gets powerful. By bringing David Schwartz, the creator, into a financial entity focused solely on building through XRP, you're merging two worlds that rarely align, the technical architect and the capital architects. That's the bridge crypto's been waiting for. Evernorth has one mission: turn XRP from a digital asset into a global financial instrument. It's structured like a regulated investment fund, but operates like a DeFi liquidity powerhouse, using XRP as the base layer to create products that actually move money, generate returns, and provide programmable yield to institutions. That means staking systems, liquidity pools, tokenized asset markets, and structured financial vehicles, all built natively on the XRP Ledger. This is what Ripple could never fully do under the weight of regulation, but what Evernorth can do right now in full compliance. And if you're wondering why that matters, think back to 2020 and MicroStrategy's big Bitcoin move. Michael Saylor turned his company into a de facto BTC ETF. It was bold, but ultimately flawed, because Bitcoin has no yield, no programmability, and no liquidity utility beyond speculation. Evernorth is the evolution of that idea, but this time it's being done by the people who helped build the rails of modern digital finance. Instead of locking up billions in idle assets, they're creating dynamic systems that make XRP productive. That's what institutions care about. Not memes, not hype. yield, security, compliance. And that's what Evernorth is offering, the first institutional-grade XRP DeFi infrastructure. When you add it up, you start to see the bigger picture forming. Ripple is transitioning into the global settlement layer. Evernorth becomes the global liquidity layer. Together, they form a complete financial circuit, a new system where value moves frictionlessly across borders, and XRP sits right in the middle. And this didn't happen by accident. It's the natural next step in the evolution of the XRP ecosystem. Because what started as a payments network is now transforming into an entire financial operating system, capable of hosting tokenized bonds, commodities, stablecoins, and even central bank instruments. That's what the world's moving toward, the tokenized economy, where every asset, from real estate to carbon credits, exists on-chain. And if that's the future, then whoever controls the liquidity layer controls the flow of global capital. That's why this moment matters. Because David Schwartz, the man who built the ledger, has just joined the team that's programming liquidity into it. That's not hype, that's history. So when you see people online shrugging this off, saying, oh, it's just another XRP headline, remember this. Every paradigm shift starts quietly. You don't see the explosion, you hear the echo after. And what just happened today might be the sound before the shockwave. Now that you understand the magnitude of what David just did, let's break down what this really means for XRP. Not in theory, but in practice. Because if Evernorth is the engine that's about to start running Ripple's rails, the question is, what happens when that engine turns on? This is where we move from speculation into systemic liquidity. Evernorth isn't here to hype a token. It's here to rewire how institutional money interacts with digital assets. Picture it like this. Ripple built the highway. Evernorth is now opening the toll booths, the refueling stations, and the entire economy that's going to operate on top of it. Its job is simple: acquire, deploy, and multiply XRP. That means taking XRP out of idle storage and putting it into yield programs, lending systems, automated market makers, and tokenized liquidity pools that actually produce financial velocity. In other words, it's the first real attempt to make XRP move like money, not just trade like an asset. And that's where things get exciting. Because this isn't retail-level experimentation. This is regulated institutional-scale finance built around XRP's core function: settlement, speed, and interoperability. When you look at it through that lens, it becomes obvious what's happening here. Ripple's era was about infrastructure. Evernorth's era is about activation. The rails are built. Now capital starts flowing through them. Let's talk about the implications of that flow. Imagine a world where a company, say a multinational bank or a tokenized bond issuer, can use XRP through Evernorth systems to deploy liquidity in real time. They don't have to deal with swift delays or correspondent banks. They can tokenize debt, settle trades, and even stake liquidity through XRP-backed smart contracts, all in seconds. This is what David Schwartz has been hinting at for years when he talked about programmable liquidity. Now he's finally in a position to make it real. And here's where retail investors, you and I, fit into this puzzle. Right now, the whales are preparing for what's coming. They understand that once institutional liquidity flows through these new XRP structures, supply will tighten fast. That's why I always tell my community, you need to position before the pipes go live. Because when they do, it'll be too late to get in cheap. And here's the hard truth. A lot of people won't even be able to access XRP once ETFs and regulated funds begin locking up massive supply. We're already seeing it. The more compliant the system gets, the more constrained the retail routes become. That's exactly why I keep my exchange footprint diversified, and why I use MEXC as one of my go-to on-ramps. People always ask me, where do you even buy XRP safely anymore? Where can you move fast when liquidity starts shifting? Listen, MEXC has become a key global hub for XRP traders who don't want to get caught waiting on the sidelines. It's one of the few exchanges that consistently keeps XRP trading pairs live, liquid, and fast, even during volatility spikes. When other platforms throttle withdrawals or freeze during heavy inflows, MEXC has proven reliable. I use it personally because during the next wave, when institutional capital starts pouring in, the last thing you want is to be locked out or watching the chart move while your funds are stuck pending. That's why I always keep multiple routes open, and MEXC is one of the most dependable ones out there. If you want access, the link's in the description below. It supports the channel and, more importantly, gives you freedom of movement when the floodgates open. Now, back to the bigger picture. The move David just made, aligning with Evernorth, is exactly what XRP needed to close the final loop: utility, liquidity, and scalability. It's the end of the potential energy phase and the beginning of kinetic reality. This is XRP transforming from a speculative token into a monetized infrastructure layer, a foundation for real-world financial products, bonds, ETFs, stablecoins, and tokenized funds, all powered by the same rails that already settle cross-border transactions. You have to understand, this is a macro shift. While the crypto market obsesses over AI memes and layer 2s, the actual smart money is building liquidity frameworks that will control trillions. And XRP, through Evernorth, now has a regulated gateway straight into that system. If Ripple was the startup that challenged Swift, Evernorth is the entity that will quietly replace it, not through disruption, through integration. Because unlike most crypto projects that fight regulators, XRP is now moving within the framework of global compliance, under supervision, with auditing, transparency, and partnerships that satisfy institutional standards. This is the difference between hype coins and infrastructure assets. One pumps on emotion. The other rewires the entire system while no one's watching. And that's why I keep saying XRP isn't chasing retail anymore. Retail had its chance in 2017. Now it's the institution's turn. And the people who understand that shift are the ones who will hold the upper hand when the next phase begins. We're looking at the early stages of a multi-trillion-dollar liquidity framework being built on top of the XRP Ledger, not 10 years from now, but right now in real time. Evernorth is the missing piece that takes XRP from the background of financial plumbing to the front line of programmable capital. And when that machine starts running, there's no turning it off. Here's the truth. What's happening right now with David Schwartz, Ripple, and Evernorth isn't just another crypto headline. It's the quiet construction of the next global financial framework, the one everything else will eventually run on. For over a decade, XRP has been waiting for this alignment: clarity, credibility, and capital. Now it's all converging under one structure, and that structure has a name: Evernorth. Ripple built the rails. Evernorth is igniting the flow. And David Schwartz, the architect of the XRP Ledger, is back in position, engineering the next financial system from the inside out. This is where speculation ends and history begins. XRP isn't a coin anymore. It's becoming the liquidity backbone of the new global economy. The storm hasn't started, but the air is already electric. So if this opened your eyes, if you finally see how deep this goes, share this video, drop a comment, and join the movement. Because when this shift hits full speed, there won't be time to catch up. This is Matrix Millionaire reminding you, the future isn't coming someday. It's already loading right now. Stay ready, stay aware. And remember, the next great financial revolution won't be televised. It'll be tokenized.